Next question, Peter Howe. I have one big one, and he's bragging here apparently as well.
A big one. Oh, I gotta see. Let me see it. Can we see it?
Kurt Angle came in right. Oh, there you go, crikey. Who Mrs. Grimsdale? Kurt Angle came in right after Vince Russo's return in 2006. If Russo hadn't been booking, do you think Kurt Angle's arrival would have took TNA to great heights, or do you think Dixie would have undermined it anyway?
Well, I think there's a misunderstanding about who was undermining who. Dixie was the biggest drawback of anybody there because this is what Dixie would do. Dixie would go on the fan sites. She would literally, under an assumed name, she would talk to fans about what they liked, what they didn't like, and she would draw her conclusion from that. Of course, you're going to get out of 50 responses, you're going to get probably 35 disliking it. I don't care what it was. So then she tried to add in her own sideline booking, and she knew, and this is not a knock on Dixie. As the person, I like Dixie. She just didn't know how to book. She didn't know how to write. She didn't know the rule of thumb. She didn't know anything. I thought that's why she hired a creative team. So, and then it's whoever she liked in the dressing room. You know, they would all go up to her and put her over, and she liked that. She liked to be complimented. I mean, what woman doesn't? But then they could bring up, do you think, I don't think they're doing the right thing with me. Why not? Well, then they would say, well, I don't think Dutch likes me, or I don't think Vince or Jeff like me. Now it turns personal. And she has come back and she says, do you like so-and-so? I said, yeah, why? Oh, I'm just wondering because, and she didn't say she's talked to him. She says, but the way y'all have treated him lately, it seems like you're almost, you don't like him. And it had nothing to do with a personality problem. It had something to do with whether we thought or not he could add to the bottom line. Could he actually contribute something that would make the TV worth seeing? Now, sometimes you can watch any show. You can watch, let's take SmackDown. They will beat a guy to death and all of a sudden turn around and start doing something with him in an angle which makes him more valuable than, of course, just going out there and losing all the time. But a lot of guys did that. That's the way I learned. I went out there and I got beat every night, not just 7 nights a week. I got beat 8 nights a week. I mean, they beat me up, down, sideways, and then beat me some more. But when they got ready to do something with me, then they just went, they just turned the wheel and sent me in a different direction. That's what she didn't understand. But we're talking about Kurt Angle now.
Yeah, well, specifically, this fella seems to think that Vince Russo did Kurt Angle dirty in the creative.
No. I mean, he came in on on New Year's Eve after 12 o'clock. That's when his contract was up on December the 31st. And we started the new year with that. The show was live. We did it live on air from Orlando. I think it was like a big party or something. And he came out because we had been, foreshadowing this. And I don't know what he's exactly referring to, but I don't know if the guy knows this. When Kurt came to us, Kurt was actually in a bad way physically because WWE finished him up, or his contract ended on December the 31st. How many contracts do you know that WWE let go with no 90-day, space in there? Non-compete. None.
Yeah.
But Kurt, when he finished,
didn't they?
Yes, they thought he was going to die because, and he's told me this himself. I like Kurt. Kurt told me, he said he was taking 10 Vicodins before he got up. 10 Vicodins, after a while, kill you. Steady diet. He said at one point he was taking, and I couldn't believe this, and I finally asked around. He said he was taking 60 a day. 60 Vicodins a day? I mean, it seemed like your liver would collapse or something. And WWE realized how bad a shape he was in, and I don't know how they got word of this or wind of this, but they did not want him dying while still under a WWF or WWE, WWE contract. That's why they finished him up as quick as they could. So that should be a red flag, or should have been a red flag for people out there. But TNA was so, hungry to get a star like, Kurt Angle, that, and they were aware of his drug usage. And then when he got there, Dixie told us to see if we could watch him. I said, and I didn't say to her, but I said to Jeff and Vance, I said, wait a minute, are we hall monitors now? How are we going to watch him? How are we going to watch him doing anything? He's a grown man. Therefore, he has free will. And if I tell him to stop, you think he's going to listen to me? No. If Vince tells him, you think he's going to listen to Vince? No. Or Jeff? Even Dixie, he might say, oh, yeah, well, I've cut down a lot. He might just get by her. But, once we knew what he had, and we were told that was the case before he came. So Dixie was well aware of it. I was well aware of it. So I'm thinking, what if he dies here? We're getting him to help us, but he could come in and he could die. And God forbid that would happen, but it wasn't out of the realm of possibility. So anyway, we were stuck with a well-known and actually public knowledge of his drug use, and he would tell you. And thank God that he cleaned up and he's still with us.
I know this sounds like weird.
Does that answer the question, or
it sort of does? Actually, I'm actually gonna ask something similar.
Because he would. Okay, we could give him the finish before the match, and then look around, and here's Kurt. He's over in the corner. He's asleep. And I actually told him, I said, guys, he's going to die. He's going to die one night here. Get him on a plane. He's passed out. I got a picture of him passed out on the plane because he don't know I got it. Going to sleep on planes is nothing new. But he would, as soon as he got there, he was out. When we landed, we had to wake him up.
Well, I'm going to ask the question this way then. And with Kurt Angle, you've got to put him in a prominent position. He is now going to be one of the faces of the company, yet he's in such a bad state. So, is there anything you can do creatively to sort of minimize his impact, to pardon the pun, on TV?
Well, he'd wake up for that. He wasn't out to where you couldn't get him awake. He was fine. And we kept let me just say this, we didn't get our potential out of him at all. So the money they paid Kurt was just to have his name under TNA contract.
Did you veto some creative because you knew Kurt Angle was in the state he was in, or did he just basically have to be in the main event every week and that was that?
Well, we didn't veto anything because he could still perform. It's according to how we would have to judge what kind of shape he was in every night that he went out.